Today on the channel, he's the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. And he's a guy that's had a lot of action figures. But there's still more meat on the Bret Hart bone, as today I'm counting down my top 5 most wanted Bret Hitman Hart looks.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, a Thursday tradition here on this very YouTube channel, as we're always counting down my top 5 and occasionally top 10 favorites of something, or in the case of this video right here, my top 5 most wanted Bret Hitman Hart looks. And as I said at the top, Bret Hart's a guy that's had a lot of looks. He's had a lot of action figures. He's had a lot going on. However, I do feel there's still some key eras of Bret Hart that we need in action figure form. Obviously, in today, he is signed to WWE. He's got the Mattel license going on with him. So it's going to come down to WWE Mattel figures. But today's video, we're counting down the top 5 Bret Hart figures I want to see. And we're going to do it as usual. We're going to start at number 5, work our way to number 1. Number 1 being my absolute favorite. Of course, along the way, chime in with yours. And of course, this is my list. Put your list in the comments down below. But without further ado, let's kick it off at number 5. All right, we begin the countdown of my top 5 most wanted Bret Hart figures, of course, at number 5. And number 5, we've got in the past, even a little bit from Mattel, but I think it's time for an Elite version or maybe an Ultimates 2-pack, maybe a ringside exclusive in the future. What are we talking about for Bret? Well, we're going to WrestleMania 2, and we're going for the blue and black attack. This version of the Hart Foundation gear always stood out to me. I've always enjoyed this one. First time we ever got it, of course, from the Jakks Classic Superstars line. Then we got a battle pack from Mattel, but that was many years ago. I mean, that was 10 years ago by now, almost probably around there. So we are due for that era of Bret Hart. Would be cool in the WrestleMania series, maybe even a Jim Hart, Neidhart, easy for me to say, to match that one. But preferably for me, it'd be pretty cool to have a 2-pack, maybe an Ultimate 2-pack. But a deep, earlier look at the Hart Foundation, I'm here for it. Give me WrestleMania 2, Bret Hart at number 5. For the number 4 selection, we're probably in one of the most depressing times of Bret Hart's career. However, we all remember it if you were part of the Monday Night Wars, and this one, probably perfect for the Monday Night Wars. It would be NWO Bret Hart at number 4. Him in the Bret Hart gear, of course, underneath, but the NWO soft goods shirt, maybe even that kind of goofy cap you wore every once in a while. Of course, the Hitman shades with that. But it does feel like that is a missing piece for Bret Hart a little bit. Obviously, not his most popular era. Obviously, there's a lot better Bret Hart options there, but fits in the Monday Night Wars line, if you ask me. Of course, another one of many members of the NWO. Would just be cool to have in packaging with the NWO shirt on, all that fun stuff. All those Mattel bells and whistles. So coming in number 4 for me, NWO Bret Hitman Hart. We've reached the halfway point of the countdown. You got your list together. Put it in the comments down below. But here we are at number 3 for Bret Hart at the halfway point. And this is a deep cut and one that's never been attempted in action figure form. But let's get an early rookie year Bret Hart. You know, we had Hulk Hogan back to Japan very early in his career. I think they need to do something like that with a Stampede Bret Hart. Just Bret Hart in trunks. Give him some cowboy boots. Cowboy boots and trunks. That's the look. But an early young Bret Hart would be really cool for longtime fans, obviously, of Bret Hart, but also deep legend fans and things like that. Just a lot of cool ideas out there with some early rookie years. Maybe even make a rookie year subline or something like that in the Legends line. I think that'd be pretty cool. Obviously a deep cut, obviously one that wouldn't resonate with everybody, but I think would be really fun in action figure form. It would be an old school Stampede ladder match edition. Bret Hitman Hart coming in at number 3. Getting closer and closer to the top spot. We're at the number 2 selection right now. And number 2, for me, was really when the Attitude Era kicked in. This was really the start of the Attitude Era. Where are we going to with Bret Hart? We're going back to his time in the WWF. but I want to get wheelchair Bret Hart. Of course, remember Bret being wheeled out by the Hart Foundation in the wheelchair, cutting those promos. There was cussing. There was all kinds of wild stuff. Really felt like the start of the Attitude Era with Bret Hart fighting with Vince out there at the announce table. Just an amazing, amazing time to be a teenager checking out and seeing the changing of the guard in wrestling. But I always thought it was really cool to see Bret in that wheelchair. Obviously, you could come out of the wheelchair for the action figure, so a 2-in-1 Bret, maybe you could make it. But I think that would be a lot of fun. You get a box set with him in the wheelchair, or better yet, a Hart Foundation box set with Bret out front in the wheelchair. Just, I think that would be something really, really fun. I think it's a possibility down the line, maybe even as a defining moment in the future. We'll see what happens, but I would love a Bret Hart in wheelchair at number 2, which means there can only be one. What is my most wanted Bret Hart figure? Well, stay tuned. We've hit the top spot, the number 1 Bret Hart. Do you got your list together? Make sure you put it in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget we've enacted YouTube channel memberships on this YouTube channel. Support the channel, get your videos like this one much earlier than traditional YouTube. You can also head over to Patreon. You know the song and dance over there. But here we are at the number 1 spot, the number 1 most wanted Bret Hart for me. And this is possibly the most iconic image of Bret Hart. We've seen this for years, and I'm absolutely shocked we have not seen this in action figure form. But the time is now, Mattel. We got to get around to this one. What is it? Well, it's the old Canadian tuxedo. It's Bret Hart overlooking the lake. Give us a cool packaging with the lake and everything would be awesome, but I'll take just the figure. You got Bret in his shades. You got the Canadian tuxedo going on. Just a classic image of Bret Hart that I think would be very cool in action figure form. Once again, a deep cut, maybe not for everybody, but man, that image is burned into my brain ever since it came out. And how many years ago was that? 30 plus years at this point, it feels like? Maybe. Just a very cool look at Bret Hart. Of course, he's from Canada. He's going to wear a Canadian tuxedo, but just a very, very cool one that I would love to see represented in action figure form. Yeah, it's a deep cut, but man, I don't want to get that in the way of a good time, that's for sure. So number 1 for me, denim Bret Hart. Oh, baby, bring that on. But there it is. That's my top 5 list. Once again, give me your list in the comments down below. Of course, don't forget my brand new book, The Complete Guide to the ECW Original San Francisco Toy Makers, available via me, with an autograph and a bookmark and a sticker, if that is your thing, or Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Of course, hardcover, softcover available over there. Appreciate the support on the book. Check out my brand new podcast every single Tuesday. The video cast is up on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast in audio form. All kinds of stuff, all kinds of stories, all kinds of content over there as my wife joins me each and every week for the Kyle Peterson Show. So make sure you're checking that out and give it a 5-star review. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? And of course, find me on social media, SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and TheKylePetersonShow at gmail.com. So for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.